Hi everyone, it's Donna here from Donna's Creative Corner, and today I have some more lace grab bags, and I'll show you those in a minute. And the rest of what I have are all vintage items. Some vintage trim, some vintage crochet, some a lot of these lots are items that were removed from vintage, and a lot of these are antique clothing items. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. Some of them are tattered, some of them are stained with some small stains, but they all tell a story, and they all tell a story of a time gone by, and I love that. I love collecting these, and I love sharing them with my YouTube friends. So let's get started, because I want to get, this is probably going to be a long video because I really want to show you the detail on some of these vintage items. Up first, I've had these before. I have more lace grab bags, and they are they're all put together already. They are mostly neutrals, but each one will have at least one or two colored pieces in them, but the majority are neutrals. And I'm just going to go through a couple of them really quick so you can see their grab bags. They have a combination of wide trims, narrow trims, ruffled trims, some crochet, some Venice lace. So I'm just going to go really quickly through these and just show you some of the things that are in. This is one grab bag, and what's in here is anywhere from 1 to 3 yards of each one, depending on how much I had of it and the width of it. This pretty scalloped one, this one, come down a little bit more. This one is like a Venice lace. Here's a crocheted piece. Here's a wide pink. Oh, it's probably about 4 inches wide, and it's pink. Doesn't show up too much on the video. Another wider one. Oh, this one's got some tape on it. Another wider one. Some eyelet. You can run a ribbon through that one. Another wider flat one. Pretty design. A ruffled one. Ruffled cream. A ruffled yellow. A ruffled white. This one has some Venice trim in it. And a little bit of black trim. So that's one grab bag. Here's another one. It has some of this. This is vintage here. I have a lot of this one. An embroidered ribbon. A little narrow lace. This is a Valencian here. This one is a shorter piece, but this one is vintage. This one is a ruffled. Another flat. Very pretty. That one might be a Valencian also. And some of these have tape on them. Wide one. Crocheted. Another flat one. That one's vintage. Another flat scalloped one. A ruffled, 2-layer ruffled with brown and cream. Get quite a bit of that. A eyelet with pink ribbon running through it. Some more of that very dainty trim. another flat one. Very delicate, dainty little one. And some narrow pink. So those are just two of the lace grab bags, and you can see how much you would get in a lace grab bag, and these are $8 a piece. Oops. Alright, now I'm going to move on to the vintage bundles. First up is Lot R. And this one, oh, I should have measured the lengths of these. I have two of this one. It has a length of this pink crocheted. It has a length of, and this is a circular piece of this crochet. That's probably 18 inches times 2, since it's a circle. This one is another circular piece. This one's a little bit longer. There's probably a yard of this one. Look at that, very pretty. This one's just an off-white. This one is more of an ecru. It's probably a 10-inch piece. Very soft. And then finally this beautiful crocheted piece. It's probably about a foot, no more than that, probably about 14 inches long, and it is gorgeous. It's got these little crocheted doilies with the dimensional flowers in the center of each one, and it's got pink around the edge and a little bit of green around the flowers. So this is Lot R. I actually have two of this lot available, and I'm asking $10 for this one. That is Lot R. Lot S is more crocheted pieces. Starts off with this fairly long piece of crocheted, and these are really dimensional pieces, these circles. I'll come in a second, but I want you to see. It's probably about two feet maybe of this, and there's a detail on that. Very nice. There's a length of, this is a circular piece of pink and white variegated. I think this one is intact. This one was obviously removed from something. So a good length of that. Another dainty pink trim, pink and white variegated again. I guess, I don't know what's the right side. This was removed from something. There's probably, there's about a yard of this one. I should have measured these, but I didn't. This one's almost a yard as well. Very delicate. Isn't that gorgeous? I've never seen this pattern before. And this one is in good shape. Well, I take that back. There's a little rip right there. Like I said, these are all removed from vintage pieces, so they're not perfect, but they're great for your vintage projects. This one is another one similar to that one. You can see how wide it is. And there's probably close to a yard of this one. There's a piece. This is a continuous piece. That's probably close to a yard as well. Probably about 4 inches wide. And that's the pattern on that one. Trying to think if there's any stains on this one. Just a little bit of age staining on this one. And then the final piece in lot S is probably about a yard as well of this blue floral crochet. This is the dimensional flowers. It kind of has variegating colors from light to dark. I don't know if that was intentional. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but you can cut these apart and use them as little tiny flower doilies. So that is lot S. I only have one of this, and I'm asking $14 for this one. Lot T starts off with, there's one piece of this eyelet trim that's probably about 1.5 feet long and maybe, I'd say, 7 inches deep. It has these little dimensional design all over it, and then cut work around the edge, and then the top part is raw. But it's one piece in lot T. There's another fairly long piece. Actually, this is a circular piece as well. It's probably about 2 yards of this one. It's an eyelet. I don't know what's the right side. It's an eyelet with this design on it. Very, very lightweight. So it's probably about 7 inches deep as well. This one does have some staining here, and there's a tear in the top part. Also in lot T are 3 separate pieces of this trim. It's already the kind of a tea stained color. Very vintage. This one's definitely vintage. So there's 3 pieces of that in this one. There's a length of probably about 2 feet of this insertion eyelet embroidered trim. This black Battenberg butterfly, come out a little bit. It's about 11 inches by about 7 inches, 7.5 inches. That's also in lot T. And then finally in lot T is definitely probably an antique piece. I'll come down so you can see this one. Very, very pretty. Very old. This one probably has a story to it, I'm sure. So that's the final piece in lot T. And I only have one of this, and I'm asking $12 for that one. Now we're definitely moving into the, a lot of these are collars. Most of these are collars from vintage and antique pieces. These I'm going to go through fairly quickly because I don't want this video to be forever. But here's a collar, 2-piece collar, and there's the design on that one. Also in this piece is this one is definitely old. It's got some age staining to it. Has this linen, and then this piece in the middle with embroidery on it and linen. This, I don't think I had the other half. This is probably half of a collar, but I only have 1/2 of it with embroidery on it. There's some staining. Here's a, when I purchased most of these last ones that I'm showing you, they were all in a box and they were all balled up. And it was hard to tell what they were. I just glanced in the box and I knew I had to have it because it was old linen and I love old linen. So, and I spent maybe an hour ironing these and pressing them out so that you can see. And that's when I finally realized what I had, is once I got them ironed. Oops, wrong way. This is a circular piece. Here's a, this one is strange because it's got these wire, I don't know if you can see that, these curly wires going through it. I don't know what this was a part of. There's two of those wires in there. But that's the piece. We're still on lot U. Here's another shorter piece. It was maybe a cuff, maybe. This piece here, I'm going to have to keep coming in and out to show these. This one is like the yoke. There's a hook and eye. It's got these little curly pieces on it. This one is beautiful. This is probably half of something, but I only have the one half of it. I've had this this trim before, just as a separate trim on the roll. I never have seen it before used in a garment, so it was kind of a treat to see that used in a garment with linen. And then you've got this open weave in through here, and then some more of that trim up at the top. Very pretty. Very pretty. Here's a this one's, I'm sure, antique. Very delicate. It's feather light. And that's the, look at that. Can you imagine the work that went into doing that? You can see it's falling apart. That's another piece in U. Lot U. Here's another kind of yoke, I guess. You got this part, and it goes all the way up to here on both sides. And this is what this looks like. This one's got some damage. This one's very old as well. And the final piece in lot U is this linen piece with the embroidery on it. It's got these little bumps and then the embroidered flower in the center. So that is lot U. I don't know how many pieces are in there. I didn't count them. These last 4 lots are all $20 a piece. That was U. Lot V. First piece in V is just a little collar piece with some embroidery. A linen collar or cotton collar piece with, I don't know if you can see that in the video. Oh, I gotta make room here. I don't want to get myself confused. This one is really unusual. First of all, it's got the beautiful lace going down both sides, and it has these little buttons, these little metal buttons. Some of them are on top, and there are some underneath. There's some more underneath of this. I don't know what this is over here. At first I thought it was snaps, but it doesn't come apart. So you've got the little vintage buttons on this one as well, and that's the lace that's on it. Very pretty. This one has I guess the yoke of a dress with all of these ruffles coming off of them. These eyelet ruffles going all the way around on both sides. And then down the center there are some mother of pearl buttons on this one. There are the ruffles, 2 layers, and there are your buttons. It's definitely a tea stain kind of color already. Also in lot V is another collar piece. This is the right way. This one is kind of a flesh colored, or a peach colored maybe. And there's the design on that one. Got the lace in the middle. And no snaps. Same thing on both sides. It's another piece in V. Need to get going here. Here's another piece. It's just a very light netting with some embroidery all around it. Also in V is another one of those collar pieces with the lace, kind of an eyelet type lace around the edge and in the middle. That goes around the neck. And here's the other front lapel. And another one. This one has a label on it. It says Karl Lease, K-A-R-Y-L-L-E-E. I never heard of that before. Manufacturer, I guess. This one has the eyelet around. Actually, both sides look about the same. This is in lot V. This one here has little crystals on it. I've never seen crystals in a vintage piece before. I don't know how this goes. Well, I'll just show it to you all together. You can see the crystals, and it has tiny, tiny beads. Right here is white, tiny seed beads, and then you've got your little crystals interspersed on it. This must have been for a highfalutin lady back in the day. She had pearls and crystals on her lapel. That's in lot V. Here's another eyelet collar. All different designs on these. Scalloped edge. And yet another one. This one also has the raised stitching and the raised dimensional embroidery on it. Comes around to both sides. Oh, this video is getting long. There's another piece similar to that with the dimensional embroidery on it. A very dainty, very lightweight lace. And finally in lot V is another piece of, I guess this was a collar. Very sheer fabric with embroidery on the edge. Can't tell which is the front and which is the back. So that is lot V, and I think I'm going to stop here and continue with another video because this one's getting very long. So this is going to be video number 1. I will come back in just a minute with video number 2 with more of these vintage bundles. Lot V is also $20. I didn't say that. And I'll be right back.